Hey geeks, welcome to my channel. I'm Trey Guillotine, and you're watching Geekly Trends, where I give a few thoughts about some of the geeky trends that have gone on in the past week. Hulu is giving us a new video game TV series. Disney puts an end to an MMO. Amazon's going to take us back to Middle Earth. And Gal Gadot will return to Wonder Woman under a few conditions. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it around so others can join in the conversation. And if you have any questions for this month's Q&A, leave them in the comments on this video or on any of my social media. Let's get started on this week's Geekly Trends. Despite video games apparently being a difficult concept for movies and TV shows to really get right whenever they do an adaptation of one, Hulu is going forward with a new video game series adaptation of it for a TV series, and that video game is Hitman. Among the creative minds behind this new TV show is Derek Kolstad, who will be writing the pilot episode. Derek Kolstad is actually the creator of John Wick, which I think John Wick and John Wick Chapter 2 are fantastic movies with great action. So the fact that he's writing the pilot episode and will probably be involved throughout the series is actually kind of a sigh of relief. Just looking at the John Wick movies, I think he could definitely get right the story of this incredibly trained hitman. John Wick is definitely more of a diverse character than I've seen of Agent 47 in Hitman, and a little more driven by his own personal motivations. Whereas Hitman seems to be just that. He's just a hitman. That's what he was made for. That's what he does. After breaking ties with the studio behind it, Disney is putting an end to the MMO Marvel Heroes. Marvel Heroes was a very top-down Diablo-style game. It wasn't the best game I've ever played, but for what it was, for a free-to-play MMO where you get to choose among like 60 different Marvel heroes, including Doctor Strange, Luke Cage, Daredevil, even some of the really lesser-known ones that I had no idea who they were before I looked them up. You travel along different maps, fighting Marvel villains, fighting different villainous agencies like AIM or Hydra, until you eventually get to the boss. You collect treasure, you fight the boss. You can do this with friends, or you can do this solo. It was just a very simple but fun game featuring Marvel heroes. The game is going to be put down, which is not only just a real shame, but also kind of confusing because the game just transferred over to consoles, I don't even think 6 months ago. That's when I started to get really into it. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about it was the diversity of the characters. It wasn't just a game focusing on one character like the Deadpool game or the Spider-Man game coming out in 2018. You got to pick, you could be Spider-Man, you could be Deadpool, you could be any number of different heroes who all had very different play styles, had a lot of really good banter. Whenever your hero would encounter another player on the map who's playing a different hero, there would sometimes be like some banter between the characters, which was really cool. It was a really great game, so it's really just a disappointment that it's now being shut down. Amazon has put a commitment for at least a few seasons of an upcoming TV series that is going to be an adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings series. Not only is it set to tell the story of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's also going to be bringing in elements from other books like The Hobbit, like The Silmarillion, and really taking the time to flesh out those events and characters. I think Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I stand by this, even the Hobbit trilogy, which I really enjoyed, were great adaptations of Tolkien's work. It told the story, it cut out a lot of the fluff, at least for Lord of the Rings. I know Hobbit, they actually added some things because The Hobbit is a much shorter story than the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but for Lord of the Rings trilogy at least, he cut out a lot of the fluff, a lot of the unnecessary things that weren't really necessary to telling that specific story. But I think adapting it into a TV series will actually give the creators a chance to really explore some of the things that were left out of the movies. Really get into what make these events and these characters tick. They'll be able to do a lot more with backstories of characters. They'll be able to really give motivations of characters that we kind of understood, but didn't get that much of a story behind them of who they were, what they've been through, what brings them to this war for Middle Earth. I'm both excited for this, and I'm also kind of wary of it that this is just going to be the new Game of Thrones. Hopefully they follow the story a little bit better, because not all of the characters died every other episode, and that wasn't the big focus of who's going to die this week. That's not the point of Lord of the Rings. I hope that doesn't become the point of Lord of the Rings. I want it to really focus on these characters in this incredible magical world. But you can't ignore the fact that this TV show is going to be starting after the end of Game of Thrones, so a lot of networks are going to be rushing to be the next fantasy epic. It was really only a matter of time before all of these sexual allegations that have been happening both in Hollywood and just across the country, even in DC, in our politics, which is not surprising. It was only a matter of time before those started to inch into the geek subculture. Brett Ratner, who was a producer for Warner Brothers and involved in producing the DC Extended Universe and Wonder Woman, has recently had sexual allegations raised against him. In response to this, Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot, gave Warner Brothers an ultimatum that she will not be a part of Wonder Woman or the DC Extended Universe any further unless Brett Ratner is removed from the production. This seemed kind of like a scary ultimatum that we might lose Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman after she gave such a great performance as Wonder Woman in the Wonder Woman series. And how many times can I say Wonder Woman in this segment? But fortunately, that's not going to be the case. There were so many others involved with the production who felt the same way, that they weren't willing to work on the production as long as Brett Ratner was involved, and WB has since cut ties with Brett Ratner. Whether this was in direct response to Gal Gadot and the production's reactions to Brett Ratner's allegations, or if this was WB's own personal feelings trying to cut ties with it, I'm not sure. But I think this is a good thing because, one, we're going to be getting Gal Gadot back, and two, Brett Ratner's actions are being punished, which despite seeing all these sexual allegations, it's such a good thing to see that those who are being accused are being punished. Even if it's in the court of public opinion, which you can have as many, which I know there are so many opinions of how that's working. Mine is I'm glad that these allegations are being taken seriously and that those who are being accused are at least being punished. Recently, when asked about giving this ultimatum, Gal Gadot said that her ultimatum was really unnecessary because there were already so many in the production who felt the same way. I'm very relieved that Gal Gadot is going to be continuing her performance as Wonder Woman. And WB made that choice to cut ties with Brett Ratner. But I think it's foolish to think that this is the end of sexual allegations that are going to be affecting our movies, our video games, our TV shows. I think this is just the beginning of seeing the effects of what these sexual harassment allegations are going to be doing to our movies, to our TV shows, to our pop culture. And despite the fact that these harassments happened at all, I think it is a very good thing that they're being addressed and taken seriously. When planning your next Wizard World Comic Con experience, make sure to use the discount code GuillotineGeek online to get 10% off your ticket purchase and use those savings to buy some merch or meet a celebrity. What did you think about this week's Geekly Trends, and are there any trends that you'd like to talk about? Let me know in the comments and follow me on all the internets. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it around so others can join the conversation. Check out my written reviews of video games and entertainment at guillotinegeek.blogspot.com, and you can subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching and have fun.